welcome to another video. So today we will be discussing about the Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium. Before getting into the video, let me just inform you this video is going to be a little long. I recommend that you watch the whole video so you get the entire idea as to what are the different concepts in this particular equilibrium. However, if you're just interested in a particular topic, I have given timestamps below. You can just click on those and go to that respective topic. Now, without much blabbering, let me start. The Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium was given by two scientists, that is Hardy, who was a mathematician, and Weinberg, who was a physician. Now, before I actually tell you what the law is, I want to take you to this beautiful garden of hibiscus flowers. As you can see, there are two color flowers, red and white. Let's say that the color is governed by two alleles. If the capital R allele is present, the flower would be red in color. However, the absence of the capital R would give the flower a white color, which is due to the allele small r. Now, since these are diploid in nature, they would have two alleles. So, there are three different genotypes possible. Capital R, both dominant alleles would give you a red color. A capital R and small r will still give you a red color because the capital R allele is dominant, whereas small r will give you a white colored flower. Now, in Hardy-Weinberg, we represent the frequency of a particular allele by two letters P and Q. So, the dominant allele is given by the letter P and the recessive allele is given by the letter Q. Okay. Next, the law. So the law states that the allelic and genotypic frequencies of a Mendelian population that are interbreeding amongst themselves will remain constant over generation, provided none of the assumption is violated. What are the assumptions? We'll learn further. But first, let us understand what the law is actually saying. So the allelic frequency, as in the previous case we discussed, there were two alleles, the dominant one P and the recessive one Q. So Hardy-Weinberg said that the sum will always be equal to 1 in any generation. So the frequency of these alleles will remain the same, and the genotypic frequency. So we had seen three genotypes, right? So the homozygous genotype where both capital R's, that is P square, one capital R small r, heterozygous 2PQ, and Q square, that is R small r square. Correct? So these frequencies are also equal to 1 and they will be remaining constant over generations, provided none of the assumptions are violated. So what are these assumptions? There are 5 different assumptions, and this is a very important topic. You will be quizzed on this many a times. So first one is random mating. So according to the law, the population should be randomly mating. That means that every individual in that population has an equal opportunity of mating with another individual of that population. Such a population would be called as a panmimetic population. The place wherein individuals select their mates, such kind of mating is called as assortive mating. So assorting mating is a no-no. If you have assortive mating, that means there is a selection and the law won't hold true. Next one is that there should be no natural selection. That is, the alleles should not have any reproductive advantage over the other. If at all that's the case, then we know via natural selection it's going to be selected and it's going to be passed down to the next generation. So no natural selection. Next up is there should be no mutations, no migration. That is, neither should be any immigration or going out, because then you're adding genes and removing genes from the pool. So the frequency would change. And finally, there should be a large population size, because smaller populations are more prone to random fluctuations that lead into genetic drift, that is loss of a large number of alleles. So these are the 5 assumptions. If they are all met, we can apply the Hardy-Weinberg law. But you would say, how on earth is this possible? We know that there is continuously mutation, there are people coming and going. Then why do we still study Hardy-Weinberg? Because it gives you a baseline value, right? You have something to compare with, you have something to predict. So therefore, this law is used till date. Now, we just heard about genotypic and allelic frequencies. So let us see how do we actually calculate them. So if I want to find the frequency of the dominant allele that gives the flower a red color, let me use this. So the frequency of the dominant allele, capital R, will be equal to 2 into the number of flowers having this genotype, capital R, plus the one having genotype, capital R, small r, upon 2 into total number. Now, why have I multiplied 2 over here? Because there are 2 alleles, right? So one allele is the P, this is another allele P. So there are 2 alleles, so we have to account for it. If you separate these terms, you will come up with this. Another way of framing this is like in the heterozygous, you have only one dominant allele, that is this R, so you have to do half of the number. Now recessive allele, similar fashion, small r plus half of frequency of the heterozygotes. Okay. Now, whenever they use this word allele frequency, you will always use P and Q. Next is the genotypic frequencies. So genotypic frequencies are those of the genotypes, the different genotypes we discussed. There are 3 genotypes here. So there will be P square, 2PQ and Q square. These are the different genotypes. Now, how does it become P square? Because if it's a homozygous dominant, this capital R is because of a small p, other capital R, small p. So this is P square. This is P and R, 2PQ heterozygous, and R into R, that is recessive allele Q square. Now the thing is, when do we actually take P or when do we take PQ? Or when we take P square? So in genotypic frequencies, if they say homozygous or heterozygous, okay, then that means they're talking about genotypic frequency, because homozygous means there are 2 alleles, right? And if it's a genotype, that means they're talking about genotypic frequencies. So if you have homozygous or heterozygous, or if they give you the word individuals, then you're definitely given P square or Q square. If they say heterozygous, then you definitely know it's 2PQ. Allelic frequencies, so if they say frequency of the dominant allele, then you will write P. Frequency of the recessive allele, then you will write Q. Now let us use some sums to actually calculate this and understand. So in this population, they say the frequency of a homozygous recessive. Here they have given you the biggest hint, homozygous. This is a genotype. So definitely this 16 is nothing but my, yes, Q square. What are they asking you? They are asking you the frequency of the dominant allele. Allele meaning they are asking you P, because they're saying dominant. Now I think it will be very easy to solve the sum. So if you get Q square, you can get Q easily. And then because we know P plus Q equals 1, we can find P as well. Next question. So now what does the next question say? That in a population obeying Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium, you have the frequency of recessive allele 0.88, while that of the dominant is 0.12. So recessive allele, they said, that means this is nothing but Q, this is R, and they are asking you heterozygotes. That means they're asking you the genotype. We know for heterozygous it's 2PQ. So definitely this is what you will have to do. So it's quite easy, just do the math and it will come out to be 21.12%. Next question. Now this is a question asked in CSIR net, and see how simple it is. Just read the question carefully. If the frequency of recessive allele causing a disease in the homozygous recessive condition is 0.04. Total individuals they have given 10,000 in the population, among which 0.04 is a numeric value. Now the problem is, in one sentence only they gave you frequency of the allele as well as they're talking about homozygous. So you may get confused what is asked. Read further. What are saying? What they're asking you? Then the number of people affected by the disease. Now since it a recessive allele is causing the disease, the people affected would have a Yes, homozygous recessive phenotype, that is, they would be Q square. So if they're asking you Q square, what would this definitely be? And as the question also says, frequency of the recessive allele, this is nothing but Q. So they have given you Q. If you have Q, you can find Q square. And if you have Q square, then just multiply it with the total number of people in the population to get the actual number. This is the frequency. We need the number. Okay. So I think it was very simple. Now, further, we are going to discuss certain cases. Okay. Now, there are certain conditions like what we discussed now had only two alleles, like the red color was by capital R, and then if it is absent white allele, then you have this. So you had only two alleles. What if I have multiple alleles? Okay, like more than two alleles, three alleles I have. Or what if there is a polyploidy? What we discussed was a diploid organism. What if I have a tetraploid organism? How would Hardy-Weinberg be represented for those? Sex-linked diseases. We know that many diseases like color blindness, hemophilia are responsible. Who's responsible for that? The X chromosome. So in that case, then what would be the answers? And finally, if there is inbreeding. So if you want to know how how the Hardy-Weinberg law applies to these and what would be the method of solving it, you can stay tuned for the whole video. If you are interested in just a particular case, then you can just go down to the description, or even you'll have it in the playlist, the timestamps. So just go to that path. Now let's get started with the first one, that is the multiple alleles. So if you have more than two alleles, they will be written inside the bracket like this. So initially we just had P and Q. Now we have an additional allele R. So the three alleles P, Q and R, the whole square. We're still using square because it is a diploid organism still. So in that case, the answer, the expansion would come up to this. Now the example is blood groups. So we have four different blood groups, A, B, AB, and O, not considering the Rh factor here, just the antigen. Now the blood group A, let us say the A corresponds to the frequency of the allele A corresponds to P. Okay, the frequency of the blood group B corresponds to Q, and for O, let us take the recessive allele, that is R, or the O blood group. Okay, so now if a individual has a blood group of A, if his blood group is A, then in that case, the genotypes would be either both can be dominant or it can have a recessive allele. Now, since one capital A frequency is P, this would be what? P into P, P square. So your P square. Capital IA is nothing but P and small is R. So this is a heterozygote 2PR. Similarly, for B, you would have both dominant or one dominant, one recessive. So you would have Q square plus 2QR. AB, that is only one type is possible. You'll have one A and one B. So in that case, again, it's a heterozygote. So you will have 2PQ. And if it is O, that means you have both the recessive alleles. That is, you have both alleles R. So it will be R square. So these are the frequencies. Now, if they ask you to find the frequency, you can easily find out. So just solve this example using the genotype. They are saying that the frequency of the allele A, B, and I are given 0.7, 0.2, 0.1. Just pause the video and solve it. We know how the genotypic frequencies will be. So let these be P, Q, and R, the frequencies, and then we know that on expansion we'll get P square plus Q square plus R square. Sorry, plus R square gives 2PQ plus 2PR plus 2QR. Now, using the formula or using this information, you can find out. So we had discussed this in the previous table. Just solve it and you'll be good to go. Next case we have to do is the polyploidy case. So what if my organism is not diploid? So in that case, the number of sets of chromosomes are given by the small l. So if it is diploid, n was equal to 2, and hence we took raised to 2. But if you have a triploid, then raised to 3, tetraploid raised to 4. So for a diploid, for a triploid, for a tetraploid. Now expanding these, you would get this answer. Now, how to expand this? You have to use the binomial theorem for this. You don't have to by heart all of this. It's quite impossible. You are going to forget. So definitely check out my video on how to solve the binomial theorem, so you don't have to worry if you get such a question. Now let us try to solve a question. If an organism is triploid, then the Hardy-Weinberg theorem applicable will be, I guess it's very simple. Yes. Next one, the fruit color. So the fruit color of Y solemn nigrum is controlled by two alleles. Okay, there are two alleles, capital A and small a, and they have given you the frequency of both the dominant and the recessive one. Now they are saying in a adjacent field, they found a tetraploid genotype of the same plant, which is having these particular genotypes. And they are asking me if this particular population follows the Hardy-Weinberg principle, Hardy-Weinberg law, then calculate the genotypic frequencies if there are 1,000 plants. Such a big question. Let me just simple it down for you. So what we know is there are A and small a and capital A alleles whose frequencies are given. They add up to 1 if you see. Then in the neighboring, these are the genotypes and there are 1,000 flowers. You have to find it out. Now, firstly, for tetraploid, we know that P plus Q the whole raised to 4 equal to P raised to 4 plus 4P cube Q plus 6P square Q square plus 4P cube plus Q raised to 4. Now, just pay attention. P is the frequency for which allele? Yes, for allele capital A. So, when I have 4 capital A's, each capital A is what? P, right? So, this is P into P into P into P, which is nothing but what? P raised to 4. So, this is the way you can find it. You know that one allele has 0.8 and here you have 4 of these. So, definitely P is 0.8 to 0.8 raised to 4. This is the frequency P into P into P into Q, which is nothing but this. So in this way, using the formula, you can find for each of this. So P raised to 4 comes out to be this much. Now you have 1,000 plants. So just multiply it by 1,000. It will come about 109.6. Similarly for the next one and for this one also, if you solve, this is nothing but P square because there are 2 capital A's and 2 small a's, that means it's Q square. So this is the term that we are talking about. Just solve it. Now see the options. There is only one option that shows this value, right? That is option A. So you don't need to solve for the other. If there wasn't an option C, we would have directly said that this is the answer, but we had to solve it further because these two options at the first two terms same. Okay, so this is so easy, I think. Next up, this was a section C question in CSIR net. So sex-linked genes. Now for this, we need to understand that males are heterogametic. That is, they have the genotype capital X, Y. That means they have only one copy of X. Correct? So the recessive allele X ka copy, they have only one. So if this X is diseased, okay, if the X is diseased, that is this male gets this X allele from its mother, then that person will also be diseased. We know that in a male, there can be no carrier situation. Correct? So that way, there are two genotypes possible, XA, XB. So let the one genotype having XA be P and this be Q. Now for females, females are homogametic, that is they have two X chromosomes and they will require both the copies to have the disease. So if a female is affected, she should have both copies of that recessive allele. Now because of this, there are three states that are possible, XA, XA, X capital A small a and the recessive trait. So this frequency will be P square, this would be 2PQ and this would be Q square. right? Now let us solve a question on this. So the question is, the frequency of a recessive allele for an X-linked recessive disease in a population is this. So the frequency they have given you of a recessive allele. So what is the frequency recessive allele? Allele hai to it will be Q and recessive. So what is the proportion of diseased individuals? Now they are asking you individuals, that is inclusive male and female. So let us solve for each. So first in the males, we know the male is XY and it will require only one copy. So the frequency of the diseased male will be equal to the frequency of this allele because male need only one X. So this copy, if it comes, then the frequency would also be same. However, for females to be affected, they need both the alleles. So the frequency of the disease would be equal to Q square because they need both. Now Q is 0.02, the whole square would give you this. Now the total individuals will be what? Males plus females. Now considering that the probability of a male or a female is 50-50. So out of four siblings, four children, two will be male, two will be female. So we'll do half of 0.2 and half of 0.004, correct? And that comes out to be 0.0102. So this is how you will calculate the frequency. I hope you understood this example. If you didn't, just pause the video and go through it again. You'll definitely get it. The last case is inbreeding. So what is the problem if there is inbreeding? Now, what is inbreeding basically? So it is the mating of individuals that are related through some common ancestor. It can be close relatives or it can be far cousins as well. Now, what happens when there is mating between the family, in the family, there is something called as the reduction in the heterozygote frequency. And the reduction of this, or the extent of how much there is an inbreeding, is given by the inbreeding coefficient F. Now let us understand how there is a reduction in the heterozygote frequency. So say we have this heterozygote AA, which is self-fertilized. In the F1, we'll have this percentage, which is according to the Mendelian genetics. However, if you see further selfing in the F2, F3, F4, you will see that the genotype or the frequency of your heterozygote is going on decreasing. So whenever there is similar mating inside the family, the self-mating, there would be reduction in the number of heterozygotes. And that can be measured by the inbreeding coefficient, that is capital F. So how do we measure this? So the relative reduction in the population is given by capital F equal to 2pq minus h upon 2pq. If you separate this, you get 1 minus h upon 2pq. Now, what is this h? This is the coefficient. The 2pq comes from the heterozygous frequency of the Hardy-Weinberg, correct? Because we had p square plus 2pq plus q square. So this 2pq is accounted for in the Hardy-Weinberg, and this is the new population frequency. What I mean by this, you will understand when we see this question. So the frequency of two alleles, p and q, for a locus in a Hardy-Weinberg is this. So they have given you allelic frequency. After a few generations, the frequency was found to be 0.28. Okay, the inbreeding coefficient is. Now directly they didn't say that this is the inbreeding situation. However, they're asking you coefficient. Now, this is definitely going to be the frequency that is of the heterozygotes after the few generation. So according to our formula, what the formula says, F is equal to 1 minus h upon 2pq. So you have p, you have q, and this is the heterozygous frequency of the inbreeding population. So if you solve this, you will get the answer as 0.33. This was also a section C question. So 4 marks just to know this. So if you have reached the end of this video with me, Please give me a like, comment down below how this helped you. And if you want me to do certain videos like this or any topic, I'd be glad to do this. So thanks for watching and I'll see you in my next lecture. Bye.